Hey, welcome back to the Bad Samaritan podcast. This is your co-host, Chava. Sam, how's it going?
What up? It's going great, baby. We want to know.
Want to know, baby? Feels great. All right, Sam. How do you feel on week 1?
Overall, man, happy to get this win. I thought it was a good performance by the team. Great performance, actually. I think we called it last week. Ayuk is going to be having a monster season this year. Honestly, man, there's a bunch of nitpicky things, but the win to win, I think the team is obviously clearly functioning on all cylinders. I was a little maybe worried in preseason that Brock didn't really have a lot of starts, or how's the arm going to look, and are we going to be able to move the ball? Is he going to be making the pass protection calls that he needs to, so we don't repeat the Eagles game? But man, either the Steelers are terrible as a squad, or we're ready this year. And overall, I'm excited about what the season has in store for us. But there's always things to improve.
I also feel very good about this win. This doesn't feel natural that the 49ers aren't starting off the season slow. So I'm kind of skittish. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? We're starting off hot. This isn't like Kyle Shanahan. But it feels great to have the win, as well as I do have some nitpicky things. I feel like with the Niners, it's always tough because, we win gloriously but all the fans see like what we're missing. But also feel great. Let's segue into our offense. What's great about our offense and what needs growth?
There's a lot of good things about this offense right now. I think the best play of the game was that touchdown run by Christian McCaffrey. I think everything was perfect on that run. Everything, hat on hat, as coaches will say. Every player was executing their blocks accordingly. I think, we sometimes in previous episodes have conversations about, hey, when are we going to see Danny Gray? Or, hey, why isn't Ray or, X receiver getting more play out there? Kyle Shanahan does not let you play receiver unless you know how to run block. And on that play, I think it was a 65-yard run by Christian McCaffrey, you saw Ayuk and you saw Ray downfield throwing some big old blocks.
Big blocks.
To make sure that CMC was getting in there relatively untouched, I think. So I think that was, a high point of the game. Brock out there making quick decisions, quick passes. Best pass of the game to me was that beautiful little teardrop that he hit Ayuk with in the chest, with a really good coverage, I thought, by Patrick Peterson on that right sideline.
Mm-hmm.
I think passing short and deep, the running game, again, I get it, zone blocking scheme. A lot of stuff's going to go to the outside. I think one thing that I thought could use some improvement is that short yardage conversion. I didn't mind CMC going up the middle. I think he got blocked. I think I'm talking about that 3rd and 1. He kind of runs up there, tries to jump over it, basically bounces off the defensive line. I get the call. It's just one of the things where I don't know if I'm concerned about the play call or if I'm concerned about the lack of penetration that the offensive line was able to create or wedge within those D linemen, because they basically got stood up and we had no penetration in there. And I think the expectation that CMC is gonna front flip over our line and the D line to get the first down is a little unrealistic. The 4th and 1 call, a little swing out pass to the Kittle. We've seen it before. Very reminiscent of the Saints game a couple seasons ago, where he basically took on a third of that defense by himself. Obviously, it's effective. It works. But I think just overall maybe a little concerned that we don't have a what's coming, but you can't stop it kind of play on short down. And when I think about that, I think about maybe the Harbaugh years where, it's a quick inside run block, one black with the tight end or pulling guard or something up inside that, every time we run it, we can get that 1.5, 2 yards. And with the guys that we got up front, what I'm talking about, even on the left side, if it's just Williams and Banks with Juszczyk and CMC behind it, I would hope that we'd be able to kind of create that space. I think a great example of that was on that Monday night game with the Lions and the Chiefs. I think you saw that Lions offensive line kind of create that space within that Chiefs defense for a quick handful of yards just to kind of essentially ice the game. And I think if the Niners can kind of get to that kind of pace, it's going to pay dividends against some of these teams with superior pass rushes, because it's either going to be a run game where you're running right at these rushers, or a quick out game or a screen game that's going to neutralize some of that pass rush. And I think that's the one thing that I'd like to see us improve on.
I agree. I have a lot of similar points here. I think we got to give our flowers to Brandon Ayuk this game. Last podcast, we were talking about maybe this is his breakout game, and he proved us all right. He got open 2 times for touchdowns, really mossing Patrick Peterson, making him look silly out there. And again, like you said, downfield in that block, he was down there 40 yards, throwing huge blocks for Christian McCaffrey to just run free. Also, shout out to Ray, former Steeler. He was out there by the by the other goal line trying to get Christian in. Quick stats on Brandon Ayuk. He got 129 receiving yards this last game with 8 targets, with 2 touchdowns. That's, he's averaging 16 yards a catch is pretty darn good to me.
Excellent.
And he's yakking really good. His blocking's really good. I think he cemented himself this game as wide receiver number 1 this year. Brock and him have some weird chemistry together that is it's very nice to see. But as well, where the Niners offense needs growth, I think we touch on the same things that the O-line on the right side just isn't protecting Purdy good enough. That J.J. Watt wide open sack really looked dangerous and could have been worse than what it was. And I don't see that going away in the near future if we don't address the right side of the line. And our short yardage game is really trash. To have a swing out with Kittle for 1 yard on 4th and 1 is kind of crazy to me. We were not running the rock good. The inside runs, just power running game. I wish I saw more of a rotation through our running backs. I think CMC is great, and I think he's shown everybody that he's great and he's healthy and he's great. But and we all know that we're gonna need him in January. So why not rotate JP in or TDP in to get average these 2-3 yards of rush, just to get us yards and get them more reps.
Yeah, just to double click into that, because I definitely wanted to bring that up as well. Is like, I know people are like, oh, well, we're just gonna rest all the starters and da 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 da. Like, that's not what I was asking for. I was kind of going to somebody on Twitter. It's like at some point, yes, I think when we're up 20 points and it's nothing, I think it's time to kind of start doing some rotations. But I think even it's like, I forget what the term is. Like, is it calling you spell a back, or you switching people out, keep a guy fresh? Because my point being is that the other guys also need some reps to just kind of get into the flow of the game. So then when you start pulling out CMC all of a sudden in the second half or whenever that case may be, and these guys are cold and they don't have a feel for the game, and you don't have some of those in-game rep experiences, and you're not caught up to how things are going, I think it's a lot more to ask for the backs. And I think it also kind of puts us in situations where guys are going to fumble or miss assignments or make some of these mistakes. And so what I would also like is just for defenses to have to worry about preparing for the different styles of backs and see if we can leverage the different size or the skills that they have to maybe do some of the things that I talked about earlier about running between the guards or, pushing by themselves and getting that extra yard, right? Whether it's TDP, whether it's Mason, whether it's Eli. I think I saw a little bit more of kind of that straight up downhill running from Eli. I can't remember how effective it was, but it didn't really happen until maybe midway through the second quarter, I believe. And then additionally, on the pass blocking thing that you brought up, it's it's not that I want Kittle off the field. It's just if you guys have ever been in I'm talking about high school wrestling practice. I remember we used to have a drill called King Shark, and you basically sick, let's say 4 guys on one dude, and he goes round after round after round, and the goal is either to help him make weight or just work on different looks. Again, you're really just trying to make someone work hard to really get a great workout in that drill. And the reason why I bring that up, it's we have TJ Watt out there, all-pro guy. He's got the bag, you know what I'm saying? He's the best defender, edge rusher on that team, top guy, top 5 in the league, you know what I'm saying? And we're pulling him against Colt McKivitz. He's not all-pro, it's his first year as a full-time starter. I know he's gotten some, cameos here and there. But the thing is, you got to help these guys. I keep bringing back the Harbaugh stuff, but if you guys go back and watch that tape from that Lions week where I think we went 4-0, they had Ndamukong Suh that season. And between Jelani Walker, Vernon Davis, Potty Davis, Anthony Davis, and all those other linemen, they were putting a hat on Ndamukong Suh on every play, touching him up. And that's what I want. I want to see Ross. I want to see Warner. I want to see Juszczyk. I want to see Kittle. I want to see everybody. So the backfield, CMC, Mitchell, TDP, Mason. Everybody put a lick in on TJ Watt. Every time he comes down there, make him fucking pay. Every time. I think there was a good play at the end of the game on defense, and I know we're going to get there, where we were all kind of jokingly like, hey, why isn't Bosa got any sacks? And I think he kind of saw he could get one, so he went back in. And then I think he beats the left tackle, goes in, and then he kind of gets like pancaked a bit, and he just like puts his hands up like, oh, you got me. But like even the kind of like combo attack on Bosa to slow him down, like that's what I want to see on the right side.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want to see a platoon of men making sure that when you're coming off the right side, you're going to get touched up. And the way that Brock got hit by TJ, kind of straight in his chest, we were lucky that TJ was going for the ball and not for Brock. Because if he would have gone for Brock to hurt him, he could have really hurt him. Yeah. Because Brock didn't see it coming at all. And I think that's what I've been most frustrated about with Kyle and his blocking scheme during his entire tenure here. And, it hasn't been addressed. And I think that's kind of where my worries for where the season's going to go, linger.
Worst parts of this game, I think we played a sloppy offensive line. Spencer Breeford got whistled for a hold and for a false start this game and a face mask. So I think, he's a young guy, but again, this right side of the line not only is costing us 80 yards on penalties, but it's also costing us the protection of our quarterback. And so, I think before we even address the rotational players or, getting guys other touches, I think we really need to, think about the guys up front. And those big boys need to either step up or we need to find someone next man up. But let's segue on to our defensive side of the ball. What are some great...
Defense.
Need some clappers.
Defense. Let's get it.
Okay. So great things I really loved about this last game's defense is the coverage downfield. Travarius Ward, even Diamador Lenore was sloppy at penalties, but even downfield coverage, great. Past the 10, 15-yard mark, we didn't let any bombs get thrown on us. I really love that. Our defensive line stunts, as you were talking, Bosa didn't get a sack, but you know who did? Drake Jackson.
Shout out to Drake, man.
He went down for 3 sacks this last game, and I put a lot of pressure on him because he was supposed to take over that D Ford spot and be the other, be the tandem to Bosa. But I think the whole line is collectively playing well enough for players like him to shine out. And Cleveland Farrell stopping runs.
Let's go.
Shout out to the Raiders for letting this guy go for chips. They feel like they got the better trade of us with Solomon Thomas or whatever, but Cleveland Farrell's a far superior player, I believe. He's already done a lot for this team, not only as a rotational guy, but even just as just getting pressures back there. I really love what I'm seeing from him, and I wish he could, fight for that number 1.
The 49ers org needs to hand out like a packet to these Raider D linemen called the Raider Rehabilitation Project, where you come in here and you play D line for 1 year, and within a year you'll be a free agent signing elsewhere. You'll get max money, and we'll get a compensatory pick.
Yep,
that's legit part of our draft strategy.
Yeah,
but 100%, man. Big fan of Cleveland Farrell.
Yeah, last thing I want to touch that I loved about our defense was the guys just out there just look like they're having lots of fun. Fred, we saw Hufunga with that tip drill pick, and that dude wants to lateral it to take it all the way. Like, I love that. I love how the energy that our defense brings. I saw Fred Warner tweet or someone tweet on our defense that, this defense is a Ferrari, and that's exactly how I felt watching this defense. I was like, wow, this is all sport, all gas, no brakes. Like, this is all go, and I love it. I can't get enough.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with just the lack of drop-off that we've had. I was interested to see what Wilkes was going to do. I think he was able to kind of keep it simple because Kenny Pickett was just kind of struggling back there with our rush, and I don't think we did too many things defensively that really stood out to me as being different. The one thing I felt was between the linebacking play, like, man, we played so fast. I think within the first handful of drives, I think there's that big old blow up that Warner had at the gap. Mm-hmm. I think there was that stat when I think it was the total yardage was 200 yards and the 49ers were at total was 200 offensive yards and the Niners were at 199 and the Steelers had 1. We were setting the pace. I think in the first plays you see Cleveland Farrell really getting deep into the backfield. I think you mentioned Drake Jackson. I think he's gonna have a Alden Smith type year. And I think when people mention Alden Smith, they think he was like this Charles Haley guy. But I think when I think of Alden Smith, I think about Justin Smith. I think about Isaac Sopoaga. I think about Ray McDonald. These guys that we had on the interior line and on the opposite ends, Ahmad Brooks, that were creating the pressures or drawing the coverage that was allowing this really hyper athletic, long limbed specimen to come in there and sack the quarterback. And I do think that Drake Jackson has put on some mass. He does look a lot stronger. He's still fast. And he's definitely understanding what's being asked of him now. Because the sacks are gonna come, man. And today they came for him in bunches. I think he tripled whatever thing was last year.
Yeah, he has 100% what he got last year.
And so I'm only expecting more from him. I think I was joking during the game like, oh, where's Bosa's sack? Oh, where's Armstead? This and that. But they were drawing double pressures. They were getting coverages. The defensive line looked great. Overall, just impressed. I think you mentioned the secondary. I think in that drive before the end of the half, I was a little annoyed with the penalties. I think we brought up, hey, like why isn't call a timeout here? I don't remember how many we had left if we were to do that. But it was clear that the packaging of Avery Thomas and Diamond Lenore on the left side was kind of a weak spot, and they were going off of it, and we were kind of playing. I don't like an off coverage. I'm not a great coverage guy, but it looked kind of like a cover two with a man on the right with Chava Ward. I think maybe there was like the whole thing about okay, let's just not get beat deep type of thing. We'll give up these unders, but they went right at that left side for like 3 straight plays, and I think then you see him press man and kind of breaks him up. And so I'm just kind of curious to see how that kind of evolves over the next couple of weeks, because there's going to be some teams out there with better offensive lines that will kind of handle our rush with double the receivers on the outside. And, we'll see how things go. But overall, the defense was impressive, man. I mean, I think that should have been a shutout. To me, that 7 points that they got, I think those were all gimmies for the penalties for the refs.
Yeah, those 2 penalties did come from cornerback Diamond Lenore. Some were really unnecessary, like personal fouls, like illegal contact. I think he needs to brush up on his game a little bit more. But again, that 2-minute drill just looked brutal for the Niners, and it looked brutal for Steve Wilks. It looks like he didn't really know what he was doing. I think we held him. We got him to 4th and 3, and they were on their like 35, and we decided to blitz Drake Greenlaw off the right side. I believe that you keep people in the checkdowns because it's such a short yardage that they're going to do the same thing to us where they just want to pick up the first. And we were just covering deep, making sure that we didn't get a bomb thrown. But Steve Wilks is going to learn over the years. I trust in him. I trust in this defense. It's just little nitpicky stuff like that. It should have been a shutout, but I'm still really happy with the performance we made. All right, Sam, let's move on to special teams. How do you feel?
I feel great. Jake Moody is our guy. 3 field goals, 3 for 3. 3 for 3 on point afters. I think there was a lot of just general things to be concerned about during the offseason, with just a lot of injury and blah blah blah. And I think his first preseason game, I think he missed he missed a couple shots down there. But he looked poised. It's always tough to kind of go on the road and perform. I know there's a lot of wind and whatnot coming off the rivers there at what was formerly called Heinz Field. I think they're something River Stadium now. But the kicking game was good. Mitch Wisnowski looked really good on his punts.
Ray looked great.
Ray did look good on that. On the punts, real quick on Mitch, we had over 134 yards of punt yards, averaging 44.7 yards per carry. Not bad. And I think even on that, I think it was a false start or offsides. Mitch's instincts to just grab the ball and run it. I think were fantastic. Dude had some burst. I think he put some tape out there that maybe we should start running some fakes. And one thing I would like to see us improve a little bit on is in our punt returns. I think our punt return yards were 41 yards. The longest one was 19. I think we got to figure out how we can break something like that. Maybe when we get Gray back, maybe we can get some more speed on the outside. But we'll see how things go. And then overall, we only had 3 kick returns. It was kind of hard for us to get judged that way. We were really there weren't really too many opportunities for us to actually improve on that. We had just a little under 100 yards at 91, and our longest kick return was 34. So sometimes these things are, when we talk about being an elite team and winning championships and possession and, stealing one or getting off to a great start on the field, The special teams often gets overlooked, and I think when you have so much talent at the top of the roster, you kind of want to look for some of those diamonds in the rough there in the middle and towards the bottom that typically end up being on special teams. So I'm hoping over the next couple of weeks, we see some explosives there because again, I keep thinking back to the Harbaugh stuff and the Harbaugh teams. They were pretty sound teams all across the board in terms of offense, defense, and special teams. But really, in some of those games, I remember I think the Ted Ginn game with the Seahawks. He had a return on punt and on kick return. So I think it's just getting guys to kind of hype us up as if we needed it, but just to kind of give teams another thing to worry about.
Of course. Well, that was our special teams. Looking forward to next week against the Rams. What are your final thoughts about week 1 against the Steelers, and what do you feel about next week with the Rams?
Ooh, final thought. I'll keep it short and sweet. Great start for Kyle. I think Kyle before this season was 2-3 in home openers, so now he's back at 500. The team looked like it was clicking all cylinders. The team looks like it's pissed off that it lost the NFC Championship game. It wants to get back there. I hope he can stay healthy. The Rams routed the Seahawks this past weekend. They look like they're healthy. Sean McVay looks like he's trying to get back in the swing of things. I think they had a stat where I think they got swept by the entire NFC West. I think they were 5-1 last season or something like that. So I'm pretty sure he wants to fight back and claw that back and get some respect. Kyle does seem to own him, has owned him in the past couple seasons. I expect this upcoming game to be a
high-scoring game,
a high-scoring one or a really physical one because they're not going to want to go down lightly. And, just remember, they took one of our Super Bowl rings from us. We should have beat them. We should have been in that dance. But, every season's a new game. It's a new journey. So let's get it.
That's the Bad Samaritans podcast. I look forward to hearing from you guys next week. Let's go.